You know, some albums are just a bunch of songs. Others, they try to tell a story. But every once in a while, you get an album that's, well, it's like a ghost. Today, we're going to dive into one of the greatest ghost stories in all of rock music, Pink Floyd's masterpiece, Wish You Were Here, which is hitting its 50th anniversary.
Just listen to that line. It's really the key to everything. It's a tribute, a memory, and a goodbye, all wrapped into one. This is the haunting heart of an album that's completely defined by absence, and it sets the stage for the entire incredible story.
So here's our plan. We're going to look at the ghost that haunted the band, the machine they absolutely came to hate, the musical letter they wrote to their lost friend, the totally unbelievable day that ghost showed up again, and finally, why this album still matters so much 50 years on.
Okay, so let's start where the album starts, with a ghost. And no, not a literal one. We're talking about the ghost of a man who was still alive. The band's brilliant but deeply troubled founder, Syd Barrett.
It's really a story of this tragic contrast. On one side, you had Syd the visionary. This guy was the creative engine, the mastermind behind their early psychedelic sound. But on the other side was the shadow he became. His bandmates even said that his eyes, which used to be so full of life, just looked like black holes in the sky. A beautiful, bright light that just burned out.
And that's the whole point, really. Even though he was out of the band, he never, ever really left them. His departure wasn't some clean break. No way. It was this deep, deep wound that would just continue to bleed into everything they did later, especially this album.
But here's the thing, the band wasn't just dealing with losing their friend, they were also becoming massively successful, and frankly, they were starting to hate what the music business was turning them into.
As far as they were concerned, Syd's breakdown wasn't just some personal tragedy. They saw it as being directly connected to the pressures of fame. To them, he was a victim, a martyr, to what they called the soul-crushing music machine. And you can just hear this cynicism dripping from the lyrics. Songs like Welcome to the Machine and Have a Cigar basically describe the industry as this cold, unfeeling factory, a pipeline for rock stars. It takes your dream, it chews you up, and then it spits you out on what they sarcastically call the gravy train.
Roger Waters really just laid it all out there. He said the machine doesn't run on a love of music. It runs on this empty promise that once you're famous, everything will be okay. He knew it was a lie because he'd watched it destroy his friend. So you've got this double dose of grief, right? You're mourning a friend who's lost, and you're mourning the ideal you once had. What do you do with all that? Well, if you're Pink Floyd, you channel it into some of the most powerful music ever made.
The entire album is really a conversation about these two big themes. You've got Shine On You Crazy Diamond, which is this epic, sprawling tribute to Syd. Then you have Welcome to the Machine and Have a Cigar, which are just these brutal attacks on the industry. And then there's the title track, Wish You Were Here, which is the heartbreaking plea that just ties it all together.
Just think about those incredible lines for a second. Did they get you to trade your heroes for ghosts? Hot ashes for trees? It's all about that feeling of being disconnected, of losing someone real, a hero, and being left with just nothing, an absence, a ghost.
And this is where the story becomes so surreal you'd think it was fiction. As they were in the studio recording this massive tribute to their ghost, the ghost himself literally walked through the door.
So picture it. It's June 5th, 1975. The band is at the legendary Abbey Road Studios, and they are in the middle of the final mix for Shine On You Crazy Diamond, the very song they wrote about Syd. While they're working, this guy that nobody recognizes just quietly walks into the control room, sits down on a sofa in the back, and just watches them. For hours. And the whole time, the band members are kind of glancing at each other wondering, who is this guy?
The reason they didn't know him? The man was heavy, he had shaved his head completely bald, he'd even shaved off his eyebrows. He looked like a complete stranger. But he wasn't. And then, slowly, the realization just dawns on them. This stranger is Syd Barrett, the man they were singing about, the man they hadn't seen in years, was sitting right there, listening. The shock was so immense that Roger Waters, the band's tough, cynical leader, just broke down and cried.
And here's the final, tragic twist to this impossible story. After that day, Syd just vanished from their lives again, but this time, it was for good. That bizarre, surreal meeting was the very last time any of them ever saw him.
So, that all leads us back to the big question.
Why are we still talking about this album half a century later? What is its incredible, enduring legacy?
50 years. I mean, that's an eternity in music. But Wish You Were Here hasn't just survived, it is consistently, year after year, ranked as one of the absolute greatest albums ever recorded. Full stop.
And I think the reason for its power is because it's so universal. This album isn't just about a rock star or the music business. It's about absence. It's about that specific, hollow pain of losing someone who's still in the world but is just gone. It's about trying to connect with a person you've lost, and sadly, that's a feeling we've all known.
Which really leaves us with one final, haunting thought. This album is a heartbreaking, beautiful masterpiece that was born from a wound that just never healed. And it makes you wonder, how many of the greatest works of art, the ones that touch us the most, don't come from joy at all, but from a kind of pain that never really goes away?